Hi. Hi again, because I'm not sure if the first one that went through. I am Plarn Dude. My name is Aaron Ingebrigtsen. I make Plarn sleeping mats for the homeless. I'm gonna make Plarn. Plarn means plastic yarn. Uh, Apparently, I'm not allowed to post me making Plarn on Nextdoor because that will be reported as spam. I don't understand how it's spam. I'm making Plarn, and it takes a lot of Plarn to make a mat. Once I have lots and lots of Plarn, I make a mat. I've got a mat that I've been working on right here, but I ran out of Plarn, so I need to make Plarn. So I'm making Plarn. How is this spam? I don't understand it. So, here's the Plarn I've made so far. I make Plarn cakes. This is a Plarn cake. The reason it's called a Plarn cake is because yarn cakes are made like this. You take yarn, you wind it into a kind of flattened thing called a cake, a yarn cake. Well, since this is plastic yarn, it's Plarn cake. Now I'm gonna need my scissors. I made this to contain my scissors, so my scissors don't cut me or cut into other things that I don't want cut. It's really easy to make. I just took some scraps, put them together with some duct tape, and voila! It keeps my scissors from cutting things that I don't want cut. Now I'm gonna start some music. If you don't like the music, as I always say, keep scrolling. Right here is Tang. I like Tang. Do you like Tang? If you don't like Tang, again, keep scrolling. Um, I don't understand why there's so many mean people on practically every platform. I am constantly being bullied. If you don't like my content, don't watch it. I need my bottle. Putting plastic scraps here. I need a bottle. Where do I put my plastic scraps? There we go. Here's a bottle. What? I tested it. Why did it snap? I hate that this keeps happening. I thought it passed the test. How do I test these so that they don't keep snapping? Do I just have to pull them harder? Be like really strong about it? Like, oh, it passed. Oh, it passed. That one didn't pass. That one didn't pass. Like that. Okay, so this is the only one that passed. Up. Even this one failed. The whole entire bag failed. Crap. Absolute crap. That's what that bag was. That bag was crap. Well, that's okay. I don't expect people to test out their bags to make sure that they are Plarn worthy. Just give me your bags. I'll test them. That one didn't pass. This one doesn't pass. This one didn't pass. This one didn't pass. Are all of these gonna fail? Maybe I've been yanking too hard and they should be passing, but I'm yanking so hard that they don't pass. I don't know. Maybe what I need to do is visual inspection with my eyeballs. Let's talk about politics. Plarn and politics. Yes, they do mix. Chat disconnected, blah blah blah, successfully connected. Disconnected, successfully connected. Blah, 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 blah. What the heck is going on? How about you just stay connected? Politics. I posted on Nextdoor and on Facebook that I do not feel upset when somebody calls me a communist. And I'll tell you a story. One day, I was going to school aboard a city bus in the Mesa, Phoenix area where I live. After I boarded the bus, somebody else came aboard the bus and they couldn't uh, complete the boarding process because they were short a dime. They had already put in all of their cash, and according to the way these systems work, once you put in your cash, you can't get any of it back. So you put in your cash, and if you don't have enough cash, you get kicked off the bus and you lose all your cash. To me, that's theft. To the bus company, that's just business policy. You either pay the whole fare or you don't get to ride. And so this guy, he's like, "Oh no, I'm missing a penny. No, not a penny, a dime. I'm missing a dime. I'm short a dime. Can somebody please give me a dime?" And without hesitation at all, I gave him a dime. And then somebody aboard the bus yelled at me, calling me a communist. I was like, "Yeah, so I'm a communist. I want to live in a society that is voluntary, stateless, uh, cashless, moneyless. What's it called? Um, what was the other thing? I just forgot. It just slipped my mind. Where there's no stratification between people. Everybody's the same. There's no borders, no police, no laws. Just people getting along with each other. That's what I want to live in. I want to live in a communist community. That's what communism actually is. Communism is not a threat to peace, is not a threat to freedom. Communism is the ultimate expression of both freedom and peace, where everybody lives in peace with each other, completely free to do whatever they want, as long as they're not hurting anybody else. It is complete liberty, 100% libertarian. Some people say, well, that's anarcho communism. I'm like, okay, if that's what you want to define it as, but I'm defining communism based on the original definition by Karl Marx. Okay, I've read Karl Marx. Have you? Karl Marx says communism is a stateless community in which there are no rulers and nobody uh, gets to own something and lord over it. There are no landlords. There's no money involved. Everybody just gets what they need and contributes to the society whatever they can, doing what they love doing because they want to. And I posted that I reject the method of getting there via violence and coercion. You must be a communist or else I will do this to you and do that to you. No, I reject that. I reject the oh Aldi, I like you, but please shut up. I'm talking. It just won't shut up. It just wants to keep going and 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 going. Oh, and here's another ad. I don't care. I really don't care. I'm not going to get any of that. I'm not going to buy any of that. Why are you advertising this to me? I don't care. 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 Here's some more ads that I don't care about. How about you give me ads I care about? Nope, you just won't give me ads that I care about. I'm not going to buy Allstate. I'm not going to get Allstate. I don't care. I don't care. I don't care. I don't care. Nope. 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 You think I'm gonna go out to a movie theater and watch this movie? Well, I'm not. I'm not. I love Jason Statham movies, but I'm not gonna go out to a movie theater to watch this movie. Rated R only in theaters. You see, I'm not gonna watch that. Why do you put that on my screen? I don't care. 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 Yes, I'm ranting. I don't care. 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 Driving me nuts. As I was saying, what was I saying? Something about communism. And Karl Marx thought that the only way to transition from capitalism to communism was this transition period involving state socialism. Well, there was no real solid plan for the transition to actually work. They thought that once the structure was in place for communism to thrive, that the socialism, the state, would just dissolve itself. Well, it didn't. The state continued, and it abused people, and it coerced people, and it did horrible things to people, and that's just wrong. I am against that. I am against using violence. I'm against using coercion. I'm against forcing people to behave a certain way unless they're harming people. If somebody is harming somebody else, they need to stop it. And if they're not going to stop it, then somebody has to step in and go, hey, knock it off. And if they still won't knock it off, then oh boy. Then there needs to be some kind of violence, but only enough violence to make it stop. Okay? I am not okay with killing people. I'm not okay with severely injuring people unless there's absolutely no other choice to make it stop. If there's any possibility of ending the harm, of preventing more harm, without causing more harm, that is what I want us to do as a society. I want us to help each other thrive. I want us to live in peace with each other. And I don't just mean people next door. I don't just mean people down the street. I don't just mean people across the plains, the valley, the mountains, whatever. I mean people everywhere. Why can't we just get along with each other? Uh-oh. I don't think that's gonna... No, see, that broke. That broke. That was not good. No. We should be celebrating each other's differences of opinion and differences of belief and differences of thought. We should be like, yay! What a wonderful challenge to think differently from somebody else, to believe differently from somebody else. As a challenge that we should relish. We should be happy that there are people who disagree with us, that we disagree with, about who knows what. We should be happy that there are people who don't think exactly the way we do. Because maybe we're wrong about something. And maybe that other person can convince us that we're wrong and change our minds. And then we will become right instead of being wrong. As a society, we cannot be perfect. We are not perfect beings. We can only try to approach perfection. And the process of constantly approaching perfection requires different points of view, different ways of thinking, different kinds of knowledge, different belief systems, different ways of living. We cannot become perfect, and we cannot even approach perfection if we are all the same, and all think the same, and all believe the same. Because then, when one person is wrong, we're all wrong. I would rather be right than wrong, and I would rather go through the process of finding out how wrong or right I am by feedback from other people than not. I would rather not be in an echo chamber, a bubble. I would rather not be surrounded by people who think exactly the same way I do. You know what? This is gonna break. This is just gonna break. So, no, I need to stop trying to use this one. But at the same time, I don't want to have people in my life surrounding me who are abusive, who will make my life worse by being around me, who will call me names and make me feel like garbage because I don't agree with them about something. So I click ignore or uh, what's it called, block online. And for the most part, that's my only social interaction is online. I'm not able to leave the house because I suffer from incontinence and from gastroparesis. And I have gastroparesis except when I don't, according to my gastroenterologist. I know, it makes no sense, but that's the reality I have to deal with. Sometimes I have it, sometimes I don't, and I don't know why. I keep asking Dad when he's going to cancel Cox High Speed Internet. And he keeps not answering me. We've switched to AT&T Fiber. That's what I'm using right now. AT&T Fiber optic internet. It's supposed to be the same speed up and down, which is great for streaming. I'm supposed to be able to send my stream at the same speed that I'm able to download somebody else's stream. So I'm using YouTube to stream up and stream down. But that didn't cancel Cox, so Cox is still up and running. I don't know what's going on with this Cox thing. Eventually Cox is going to give up on providing services. They're going to shut it down themselves. And then Dad's just going to be stuck with the Cox bill because I'm not going to pay it. Guess what? I'm not paying for something that should have been shut down weeks ago. I feel hot. I need to turn on my fan. Oh, that's better. That's much better. That's much better. Much. So is this content different enough from other videos to not be considered spam? By the way, I love spam. Oh, a can of spam. I can open that up, dump it out onto a plate, and slice it real thin into real thin slices. A whole lot of real thin slices. Spread them out on the plate, and then I like to let them sit there and get dried out, because then they become some kind of crispy spam. I can just let them sit here, drying out, and then when they're crispy enough, snack on them with slices of cheese. I don't like drying out the cheese though, so I will wait until the spam is dry. Then I'll cut slices of cheese and eat spam and cheese and ketchup. I love to eat cheese and ketchup with spam. Spam and cheese and ketchup. Spam, spammity spam. I love spam. No, I do not make Plarn spam. Even though some neighbors on next door think that my posts are spam because they're too alike, I guess. Ew, you're making too much Plarn. We don't like watching you make Plarn. Okay, then don't watch me make Plarn. Why is it so upsetting to you? You have to have my Plarn posts deleted. Can I be a voice actor? No! I cannot be an actor. Especially not on next door. I doubt very much anybody would want to work with me as a voice actor because, listen. Do you hear all the noise? Do you hear the air conditioning system? Do you hear the fans? There's the ceiling fan going. There's this fan going. There's the air conditioning going. It's a very noisy environment. There's no way I can set up an audio studio in my home to use for voice acting. I can't do it. I'm poor. I cannot modify things. I need the air circulation in order to not overheat. There's absolutely no AC in the giant closet over there across the room. That's why it's a closet. Nobody wants to turn it into an office. So the things that are stored in that giant closet over there just sit there being hot.
Dream big, work hard, and switch to Progressive. You can save hundreds.
I can't use the bathroom.
I can. You can't spell
for
American without it. During the
voice
Jeep,
acting.
Make this the summer event. Say I can in the original.
I don't care. Again, I just simply do not care about your ads. I'm not gonna buy a vehicle. Shut up! So I'm gonna switch to something else. I'm not gonna listen to more ads. Every time these stupid ads pop up, I'm gonna switch to something because I'm not gonna listen. I don't care. 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 I'm not gonna buy your cars. I'm not gonna buy your vacuums. I'm not gonna go on vacations. I'm not gonna go on a cruise. I don't care. Now, if you advertise something that I do care about, that I might actually, in fact, spend money on, may I suggest you advertise some nice scissors? Ooh. This is Scotch titanium non-stick scissors. Really good scissors. I love these scissors. These have been just beautiful for cutting Plarn. Plarn, 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 Plarn. I love Plarn, 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 Plarn. How about crochet supplies? How about yarn? Oh, there's so many beautiful yarns that people are selling. Oh my gosh. I do love yarn. I will make beanies at some point. I'm going to switch to beanies at some point. I don't know. But this is how I make beanies. I make them with a round loom. I never learned how to do stitching. I never learned how to do all the doily crochet stuff that other people are doing. There's a lot of stuff that I don't know how to do. But the stuff I do know how to do, I intend to do well. When I'm watching a TV show like Stargate SG1, Stargate Atlantis, etc., 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 I have to sit and watch ads, and I get really annoyed. But what can I do? I can't just stop watching the TV show, can I? So I have to suffer through it. Even though I'm paying for the streaming services that let me watch these shows. Ow! I have been suffering from gynecomastia. It's causing my breasts to hurt because I am growing breast tissue that's supposed to be in women's breasts, not in men's breasts. And that breast tissue is like very, very unhappy about being in my breasts. It's like, why am I here? What's going on? No, I don't like this. Ow, ow. I'm going to send you pain. I'm going to make you suffer. Ow, 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 ow. So I had mammograms, and they said, fortunately, you have no cancer. That's good. I like not having breast cancer. But both of the technicians that were doing this stuff asked me if I was transitioning. I said, no, I'm not trying to grow breast tissue. I just am. It's growing because I have gynecomastia. I don't know what to do about it. Should I get testosterone shots? I don't know. Let's talk more politics. I do not like President Trump's stuff, what he's been doing. Sometimes I agree with him. Sometimes I like something that he's done. But most of the stuff that he's doing, I do not like. I do not like ICE. I do not like what they are doing at all. Not even a little bit. Nope. Nope. Let's talk about illegal immigration. Wouldn't you like to completely eliminate illegal immigration? I would. I would like to make it not exist. I would like to make it so that there is no such thing as illegal immigrants who are illegally immigrating into the country. I want to make it so that there's no such thing as people sneaking across the border seeking a better life. How we get there is where we disagree, right? I want all immigrants to have the opportunity to immigrate legally, to be able to do it legally, to not have the door shut in their face, to not have their feet stomped on, and to not be kicked in the groin at the border and told, no, you don't get to come in because we don't want this many people or whatever. Every single person who wants to should have the opportunity to come here, work here, live here, and become members of our society. And then after 5 years, go through the naturalization process to become citizens. That's my opinion. Every single person, whether they're from Mexico, whether they're from Canada, whether they're from overseas like China, should be able to come here and get an ID and pay taxes and work and live and contribute to our society as a part of our society and then become citizens. There should be no such thing as human trafficking. There should be no such thing as sneaking in. There should be no such thing as any illegality whatsoever when it comes to this. At all. It should be so easy and so cheap to be able to come to this country and be a part of this country that the illegal option is just not something they want to do. They just don't do it. I believe in compassion and empathy. What would you do if you were forced to leave your country and go to another country to survive, to keep your family safe? What would you do? Would you be willing to sneak across the border and risk your life and the lives of your loved ones? I believe it is a God given right to immigrate, to migrate from one place to another. All living things migrate for survival. All living things spread out from where they are to somewhere else when they need to. There are survival pressures that every species must contend with. And one of the survival strategies is to simply move to somewhere else. Why should humans be uniquely restricted from doing what they need to do to survive? It's not right. Having our system in place to cause suffering, to cause death, is not right. We should not be mistreating people. We should not be exploiting people. We should not be abusing people. We should not be murdering people. These are things I oppose. I am not advocating for open borders for our country or any other country. I'm advocating for order, for laws that work, for a system that works for everybody, not just the few. Let's talk about, well, I don't know, how about religion? Religion is all fine and dandy. You can believe what you want to believe, and I will support your freedom to do so until your belief starts to make you do horrible things to other people. Don't harm people. It's really not that difficult to just not hurt people. You can believe that the color blue is toxic and that anybody who wears the color blue is a toxic person. Oh, okay, fine. You can have that really strange belief. It's really strange to have beliefs like that. But if that's what your belief is, okay, you can think that I'm a toxic person because I'm wearing blue. But the minute you take that belief and use it as an excuse to abuse people, you're wrong. Well, that seems to be working. There are people who do not eat pork, who do not eat pigs because of their religious belief. There are people who do not eat animals at all because of their beliefs. Fine, you can do that. That is your prerogative. That's your prerogative. That's your prerogative. But the minute you turn that belief into a reason to hurt people or kill people, there's something really wrong with you. You don't get to go around murdering people because they eat differently than you do, or think differently than you do, or feel differently than you do, or live their life differently than you do. You don't get to do that. What else should we rant about? Oh, how about wind generation? Generating power from wind. I hate those long bladed monstrosities that kill birds. They go and they can only run at a certain uh, speed, and if they go above that speed, they have to be shut down, or else they could burn themselves up and crash and fall apart. They're they're an idiotic means of getting wind energy. There are far superior technologies for getting wind energy. One method I dreamed up was to plant things that like to stand tall in pots that are kept on swinging gimbals. And as the plant gets shoved around by the wind, the pot gets moved around in the gimbal, and the gimbal generates electricity. So, whichever way that plant is moving, it's generating electricity. And then spring, put it back upright again. So there's always tension. And whatever the wind is doing, it's generating electricity without killing birds or other animals. Why not have a whole forest of these potted trees that sway in the wind? And every time the wind makes the whole entire forest sway, it's creating electricity. And why uh, generate energy as electricity? Why not generate energy in the form of compressed air? I love compressed air. I invented in my mind, and with the help of AI, a fictional village that I call Whisper Sand that depends on wind energy, water energy, etc. And their energy is generated and stored in the form of compressed air. They don't use electricity, they just compress air. And they use the compressed air for all sorts of things. When I went to the dentist yesterday, guess what? They were using compressed air for their drills, for all sorts of the things that they needed to use. They use compressed air for their tools. When you go to a mechanic's shop to fix your car, guess what? They're probably using compressed air powered drills or whatever, ratchets, whatever they're called, to get the tires on and off and get bolts on and off and stuff. And you can hear them, they go, woo woo! So why not use compressed air for most things? For getting energy to my house, why not send my house a big fat pipe of compressed air? And then, whenever I want to use electricity to power things like my TV or my laptop or whatever, I plug them in to the compressed air line, and a little generator starts running that generates the electricity for that device. It goes and just runs the device. And when I no longer need that device to run, I can unplug it from the power supply, which would be compressed air, and then that compressed air will no longer be running that device because I don't need it to. When I turn my TV off, I can have my TV reduce the amount of electricity it needs to a very small amount, and thus reduce the amount of air it needs to a very small trickle. So it's to a very slow trickle of air that provides the TV with just enough energy that it can wake up when I tell it to. That way, house fires would be far less likely. There would be no electrical fires. Instead of extremely uh, dangerous batteries that explode and burn down entire houses, why not use compressed air? Oh, I don't care that it's not very efficient at storing energy. So what? So what? Air is abundant. The ability to compress air is incredibly easy. It doesn't require advanced technology. It doesn't require uh, rare earth materials to just compress air. I can compress air with my lungs. There, I just compressed air. I also thought of another method of storing compressed air that I don't think anybody's ever used in my imaginary village of Whisper Sand, and that's underwater tanks that are aquifers or something. it's like an upside down uh, bowl, and you send air into this upside down bowl while it's under a lake or a pool or something, some big amount of water that provides pressure against the air that's being put into it. You pump air into this area underwater, this big bowl, and because of the weight of water pressing on it from underneath, it provides pressurized, compressed air. And it has the added benefit of naturally handling overpressure. So if you overfill it, it just bubbles out from underneath the rim of the bowl out into the water. It just bubbles up to the surface of the lake or the pool, whatever it is. Just bubbles. So that the tank cannot explode. There will never be the need for pressure regulators that can break or malfunction because pressure regulation is natural. It's naturally handled. Every time there's too much air going into the tank, it just bubbles right out of it again. So you can have your air compressors running all the time. You can have your wind turbines pumping air 24/7. You can have your water wheel pumping air 24/7. Whatever you use to gather energy, you can store energy safely as compressed air. And then when you need to use the compressed air for light or a computer or something, like I said before, you can just plug directly into a wall outlet of air, and that air generates just the amount of electricity that device needs. And if a tiny generator stops working for whatever reason, just get another tiny generator that generates the same amount of electricity that you need for that device. Like a phone charger that you just plug into USB, that's 5 watt or whatever. Is it using the same amount of electricity as a TV or a refrigerator? No, it's not. And if one of those phone chargers dies, you just get another phone charger and you plug your phone's cable into that instead. It'll be just like that, except with air. You plug in your USB cable to your little air generator. You plug your air generator into the air socket. It goes, and it generates for your device. And if you need to use an electric battery, the Amish have perfected an amazing battery technology that is, in my opinion, far more robust and far safer than anything we're using right now. I would trust a battery made by them, made by the Amish, an Amish battery, above any other battery. I would gladly depend on an Amish battery for my phone, my tablet, my computer, whatever, rather than the lithium ion batteries. I am constantly worried that these lithium ion batteries are going to explode and do some serious harm. Oh, that reminds me. One day when I was working at Desert Industries thrift store, trying to get old computers up and running again, I charged up I plugged in a laptop. It was like, I don't know, 30 years old or something. It was an old laptop, and it seemed to be working all right. And then the battery exploded. It went, pow! And I was like, I was so shocked. I unplugged it, and I was like, holy crap! Before that, I had never had a battery explode on me like that. I was like, I just had a heart attack. Oh my gosh. It could have been far worse. It could have been a lithium ion battery. It wasn't. Luckily enough, it was back before lithium ion batteries that battery was made. It was too old to be that dangerous, but how it did, and how I do not like. No, I do not like. If it had instead been a compressed air based laptop, it wouldn't have needed a battery. It would have needed a compressed air tank. And a compressed air tank that's been sitting for ages and ages and not rusting, not falling apart, wouldn't explode. It would be just fine. You could just put air in it and it would just be fine. And in the village of Whisper's End, I would have at least one lake sitting at a level above the village that provides the compressed water for people's faucets. So people can get their water without having to use a hand pump. And if the source of water going into the lake needs to come from a river or something and be pumped up, then the water pumps can be powered by compressed air. What else to talk about? Um, when I made my Tang drink, it measured out quite a lot of powder. It told me to use the 2 quart um, measuring line, and it was, quite a lot of powder. Usually, I use drink mix powders that are just little packets by comparison. I was kind of shocked at how much Tang it took to make my Tang drink. I believe that cetaceans, such as whales and orcas, are people. Just different species of people, different kind of people. And I believe that we should be trying to figure out how to communicate with them and be friends with them instead of hunting and killing and eating them. But at the same time, I don't want to disrupt um, traditional uh, tribes from um, making sure their people are fed by doing what they traditionally have done, hunting whales. So, and it's it's a difficult position to be in. I think whales are people, and I think humans are people, and I don't want people to kill and eat people. But I don't want to force tribes to stop doing what they need to do to survive. So it just makes me hurt inside. If I could convince the traditional tribes to change to something else, to do something else instead, I would. I would try to convince them to do something else. Just like vegans try to convince me to stop eating meat. I bet you there's vegans who would want to try and convince tribes to stop eating meat. Yep, I bet you. I bet you. But I don't believe in coercion. I don't believe in violence. I saw a post from somebody on Facebook about Mayor Zoran Mamdani in New York, uh, how he's planning on creating state-run stores, grocery stores, in order to help provide food to the needy. So, like, instead of giving somebody food stamps and then sending them off to whatever grocery store to buy food there and have to deal with the constantly rising prices of all sorts of commodities that people need, he would build these stores, stock them with all the same kind of stuff, chips, hot dogs, whatever, all the foods that people need, but charge far less than what other grocery stores are charging. They may not be Doritos chips, but they're chips. They may not be Lay's chips, but they're chips. They may not be Bar S hot dogs, but they're hot dogs. Why not? And somebody was saying, this is socialism, this is communism. I'm like, and why is this a bad thing? Why is helping people a bad thing? Every time somebody tries to help people, every time somebody tries to use the government's capabilities to help people, there are people screaming, "Ah, communism!" I'm like, so? Why do people think that helping people is such a horrible, evil thing? The government is not trying to take away your house by giving somebody else a house. That's not how it works. When the government builds houses to house the houseless, they're not taking away your houses to do it. They're not doing that. That's not how it works. When the government builds apartment complexes in order to get people off the streets and into apartments, they're not doing that by taking away everybody else's apartments. That's not how it works. The federal government has the ability to spend enormous amounts of money because the federal government is the source of United States dollars. It's called United States dollars, not Walmart bucks, not Chase Bank bucks, not whatever, okay? These are so called banknotes produced by and for the United States. And a state like New York is not able to just produce any amount of United States dollars it wants. It has to depend on taxes in order to get the money it needs to function. Taxes and excises and charges and all sorts of things. But it cannot just say, okay, we need to spend $1 trillion on this project, so let's just create $1 trillion and do it. No, the federal government can and does do that. The federal government will say, hey, we need to spend $1 trillion on this war, and then they just say, okay, let's create that $1 trillion and then just spend it. And they do. They create $1 trillion out of nothing because that's called fiat currency. They just create it. Fiat means it is money because the federal government says it is money. The United States says United States dollars is money. And everybody is like, yep, United States dollars is money. United States dollars are not based on any real commodity. They're not based on gold. They're not based on silver. They're not based on anything. Now, if we used a gold-based currency, that would mean that if I give you a slip of paper that says this slip of paper is worth 1 ounce of gold, and everybody agreed that it's worth 1 ounce of gold, then that would mean that I would have to keep 1 ounce of gold in my reserve in case somebody returns that note to me and says, I want that 1 ounce of gold. Then I would have to give them that 1 ounce of gold. So, with a gold based currency, the United States government would have to reserve a mountain of gold in safekeeping in case somebody takes a bundle of cash that is worth such and such amount of gold and says, I want my gold to the federal government. They go to the federal government and say, I want my gold. And the federal government would say, okay, here's your gold. I would much rather have gold out and about doing things because gold is actually, in fact, useful for things. You can actually use it to do stuff. You can make gold into all sorts of things. Gold is very useful in electricity and electronics. It doesn't degrade. It doesn't transform into something that isn't useful over time. You can use gold wire. You can use gold contacts. Gold is immensely useful. And one of the reasons gold was used as money is because it doesn't degrade. You can put a gold coin in the ocean for 1,000 years, and then you can dig up that gold coin, and it will still be a gold coin. It won't turn into a pile of crap like a copper coin. If you throw a copper coin into the ocean, eventually it'll get eaten up. It'll get turned into its base elements or whatever, and you know, no, it's not useful. Once you get that copper coin, it won't weigh as much as it did before. It won't look the same as it did before. It won't be the copper coin it used to be. But a gold coin will. A gold coin will stay a gold coin. It won't stop being a gold coin. Why not use um, redwood as money? A redwood coin cannot be eaten by termites. It might be, flammable, but not very. It's actually difficult to use the redwood as a fuel, and it burns at a higher temperature than other things. So a redwood coin could be money. And redwood is very big and very difficult to chop down and very difficult to turn into coins. It takes a lot of work. So the amount of work it takes to create those coins is a real commodity, is a real uh, thing. Oh, and let's talk about digital currencies like Bitcoin. I am a huge fan of cryptocurrency for the main reason that it's not controlled by anybody. No government controls it. It's open source. That's another big reason. It's decentralized. That's another big reason. And no, it's not just criminals who use Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies. Anybody can use them for any reason. You can be like, okay, one Bitcoin is worth one pizza. And then somebody else will be like, yep, one Bitcoin is worth one pizza. And they will give you a pizza if you give them a Bitcoin. That's how money works. The only reason the value of a Bitcoin has changed is because of currency trading. People are like, I will only sell my Bitcoin for $1,000, and you can't convince me otherwise. And other people are like, huh, well, seeing as how other people are doing the same thing, yeah, I guess I'll buy your Bitcoin for $1,000. And then all of a sudden, a Bitcoin is worth $1,000. That's how currency exchange works. People agreeing to spend this amount of money to get that amount of money. And when people don't agree, when people are like, that's way too expensive, I'm not going to do that, then the market has to adapt. People are like, well, I was trying to sell my coin for $1,000, but seeing as how nobody wants to spend $1,000, I'll drop my price. And then, I see nobody wants to spend $500. I'll drop my price. And then, I see that nobody wants to spend $5. I'll drop my price. If people drop their price continuously over and over and over again, eventually they'll hit the point at the market where people are like, okay, I agree to spend that much. That's how a market works. That's how a free market actually works. People are constantly negotiating with each other about how much something is valued at. How much money am I willing to spend? How much money are you willing to sell for? That's how a market works. But if nobody was spending US dollars to get bitcoins or any other cryptocurrency, how could you value them compared to any other uh, currency? Like if I just created a new currency myself, if I just created Plarn coins, let's say, each coin containing a certain amount of Plarn that you can break open and actually use. How would anybody value that? How would somebody go, oh, that Plarn coin, that's worth a hamburger? Or would anybody go, oh, that Plarn coin, I think that's worth a taco? How? I don't know. It's up to other people to decide what they value something as. If people watch me making Plarn and go, wow, he puts a lot of work into Plarn, I guess it's pretty much equal to the amount of work I put into making a taco. Then I could trade Plarn for a taco. Because that's how markets actually work. People see how much work it takes to do something, and they're willing to trade their work for somebody else's work. But we use currency as a middleman and an intermediary between the fruits of my labor and the fruits of your labor. But in a communist society, there would be no money. There would be no need for money. Everybody would just produce what they know how to produce, do what they like doing, and get what they need or want. I'm a huge fan of the Venus Project, where resource based economies configure themselves in a decentralized way to get resources to and from people without the need for money. Everybody gets what they need, everybody shares what they want to share. There's no coercion, there's no force. Nobody is banging on your front door going, you owe me taxes, pay me taxes. There would be no taxes. In a communist economy, a resource based economy, there would be no need for money or taxation of any kind. People would just share what they want to share, and nobody would have the right to force you to give them anything. That is the number one misconception about communism. People think communists are going to take all your stuff and they're going to take away your house and they're going to take away your land and they're going to take. No, that's not what communists do. Communists say, hey, you don't get to own that well. That well belongs to everybody, and the water in it belongs to everybody. You don't get to charge people for the water that comes out of that well. You don't get to restrict people from getting the water that they need from that well. That well is in common ownership of the whole community. They say, hey, this factory that produces, I don't know, bicycles, this bicycle factory does not get to belong to the one person who then benefits the most from the production of these bicycles and then charges people to get these bicycles. No, instead, it says this bicycle factory belongs to everybody. And everybody gets to work at the bicycle factory if they want to. And everybody gets to have a bicycle if they want one. And nobody gets charged money. Nobody gets to profit from it. That's how communism works. Everybody is sharing what they can. And everybody is getting what they need. Communism is not, hey, you know that bed you're sleeping on? You don't get to sleep on that bed. We're going to take that bed. And because that bed belongs to everybody, nobody said that you can use that bed. No, that's not how it works at all. In a communist society, everybody goes, oh, you're sleeping on a bed? Cool. We all get to sleep on a bed too. And they make beds so that everybody gets to sleep on beds. They don't take away your bed in order to make sure that everybody else has a bed. They just make more beds. Nobody's like, oh, you wanted to eat that? Well, you don't get to eat. You have to starve because everybody gets to starve in a communist system. No, that's not how communism works at all. Communism promotes prosperity. Communism says, hey, we're all hungry, so let's work together to feed ourselves, to feed each other, to make sure that we're all fed. And they produce the food, and then everybody gets to eat. That's how communism actually works. And no, there is no such thing as a communist country. There is no such thing as a communist government. Communism is stateless. Communism does not exist as a country, as a state, as a government. It is not real. There is no threat of communism. Communism is people living together in a community, thus, communism is the name. If you don't want to live in a community together with other people, you can go out and live by yourself. That's fine. Communists are not trying to force you to live in their community and participate in their community. If you want to be out there by yourself, alone, with nobody else, fine. Nobody cares. Go on. Go out and be alone. Be totally self sufficient. Go out and live by the sweat of your own brow. And when you suffer from illness or injury, don't come crying and begging for help. Just be out there and be alone. And when you get sick or injured, you deal with it yourself. And then you will die alone. And the rest of us will be like, that's fine. We're not going to take away your freedom. We're not going to take away your choices. We're not going to take away anything. If you want to work at a bicycle factory making bicycles, have fun. Work at the bicycle factory making bicycles. Cool. We love that. As communists, we love that you want to do something for your community. Go out and do it. Whatever it is. You just don't get to own the means of production and profit personally and exclusively from owning the means of production. The means of production is owned by everybody. All of us. The person down the street, the person across from your house, everybody owns it. Everybody's part of it. Everybody gets the benefits from it. And some people can't ride bicycles. I cannot ride bicycles. I'm disabled in such a way that I cannot balance on a bicycle. But I can ride on a tricycle. If, it's configured right. I tried riding my tricycle and I very nearly died of a heart attack. I had to call an ambulance to come and get me off of my tricycle because I was in a really bad way. I just couldn't handle it, and it was everything I could do to not fall off my tricycle and die on the street right then and there when I tried to ride my tricycle. I have a heart problem. Sorry, that's just how it is with my heart. But as a communist, I would not have to spend money to get the help I need when I need it. I could just say, help, help, and people would help me. Because in a communist community, that's what people do. They help each other. I would not be worried. Can I afford an ambulance? No, so I must not call for an ambulance. In a communist community, an ambulance would just come and get you and bring you to the hospital to help you. Would you have to wait in line for hours and hours and hours to get the help you need in a communist community? No, because a communist community believes in being prepared for emergencies. A communist community would have a large enough hospital to handle the needs of the community, would have enough medical supplies stockpiled to handle the needs of the community, would have enough trained people who know what they're doing available at any given moment to come in and help provide the needs of the community. The community stays cohesive and together and helps each other to weather the storms of life in a communist community. There are so many people who say, oh, I don't have health insurance, so I better not get sick. In a communist community, you wouldn't be worried about getting sick. If you get sick, you just get help. That's it. That's all. You just get the help you need. Would there be long lines of people waiting to get bread and soup, standing around in abject poverty, suffering horribly in a communist community? No! In a communist community, people would be feasting every day. There would be a huge feast hall that everybody goes to enjoy eating all the fruits of their labors together. A communist community is basically a big extended family. When you go to big family gatherings with your family, do you all stand around starving because nobody has any food? No. When I go to a big family gathering, and I haven't been able to in a while because of my illness, everybody brings potluck food. Everybody brings something. One person brings meatballs, another person brings rice, another person brings, I don't know, pie. Everybody brings something, so everybody gets to eat and everybody gets to feast. And that's how a communist community works. It works the exact same way. Nobody's charging anybody for anything. Everybody just contributes what they can and what they want. Nobody's being forced to contribute any specific thing. Nobody's being assigned any specific thing that they don't want to do or can't do. No. In a communist society, everybody just contributes what they want to contribute. And everybody just lives a happy and productive life. So, what you've been told about communism by capitalists is propaganda. It's lies. They've been telling you that communism is the evil thing in the bedroom that wants to eat you, so you better keep your light on, or else the communism will come out and eat you. You've been told that communists are evil monsters who want to grab your feet from under your bed, drag you under your bed, and eat your face. That's not communism. That's not communists. We want to live in a community and thrive together. All of us, everybody, thrive. But the path to get there, as laid out by Karl Marx through state socialism, was a mistake. By using violence and coercion to overthrow the existing systems and the existing governments and replace them with a state socialist government was a mistake. It's not actually going to get any of us to a communist, stateless community. I believe the way to get us to communism is to just share with each other. Just make it reality as much as we can, whenever we can. And then eventually, enough people will be doing that people will be like, well, why do we need this parallel system, this capitalist system? Why do we need that? We're already sharing everything we need with each other. We're already growing all of our own food and sharing our food with each other. We're already producing all of the things that we need for ourselves and each other. Why do we need this other system? And eventually people are going to be like, well, we don't need this other system. So let's just stop using it. Let's just say enough. We're done. We're not going to be a part of that system anymore. We're going to be a part of this other system, and good riddance. No violence, no coercion. Nobody's forcing anybody to participate. You just do what you want to do. Live your life how you want to live your life, and that's good enough for a communist community. Enough lies, enough propaganda, enough nonsense. Do you want to be happy in your life? If you want to be happy, then I suggest that you help other people be happy. Because by doing that, you help yourself be happy. Okay? That's all you have to do. Just be happy. Be happy. That's all you gotta do. To be a communist, that's all you gotta do is just be happy and help other people be happy. That's it. It's not a confrontational thing. There's nobody to fight with. I'm not fighting anybody. I'm not confronting anybody. I just am who I am. Oh, I love Whataburger. Whataburger makes my favorite kind of hamburger, except for homemade hamburgers. Homemade hamburgers, there's just something different about homemade hamburgers that makes homemade hamburgers so much better than fast food hamburgers. I don't care who makes them. Jack in the Box, Whataburger, Burger King, McDonald's, whoever. I love homemade hamburgers. Oh, they're so good. Oh, yes. I love to go to restaurants that do a nice hamburger like um, Applebee's. Oh, yeah. They do a nice big hamburger. Mm-hmm. Yes, yes. I don't know what it is. I don't know why it's so good, but it is. I like it. I like it a lot. What else am I going to rant about until my voice stops working? The prices of things. Okay, inflation. There's this mistaken belief that a lot of people have that inflation is directly caused by and uniquely caused by the amount of money the federal government spends. That if the federal government is spending more money, it is increasing the prices of things. That is not true. That makes no sense at all. Inflation is the general increase in prices of everything across the economy. If inflation is too high, if things are getting too expensive too quickly, if things are becoming more and more expensive too quickly, that is because of all sorts of other forces in the economy. The economy is very complex. There are a lot of forces. There's inputs, there's outputs, there's all sorts of reasons why somebody would increase the prices of their products or services. A lot of a lot of what goes into the price of something is caused by the amount of money the company has to spend to get it done. A company that has to spend more money on computer chips is going to have to charge more money to make computers. That's just market economics. That's how it works. Market forces cause prices to fluctuate. And you, the consumer, the consumer, have the ability to affect prices. If you want to spend the amount of money that they want to charge, they're going to keep charging that amount of money. Because they're like, oh, people want to buy this at this price. So I'll keep selling it at this price. And if somebody else sells it at a lower price and everybody just keeps buying it at the current price, then the people selling it for a lower price are like, well, why is nobody buying this at the lower price? Fine, we'll just go back to the normal price that everybody else is selling. And that they will get a profit. That's the whole reason for prices in our economy. People are constantly negotiating with each other over what something is valued at. People are deciding how much money they want to spend, and people are deciding how much money they want to charge for something. That's how prices actually work. It's not the government's fault that prices of things go up. It's not government spending that causes things to get more expensive. If the federal government spends $1 trillion on a war, that's not directly going to cause your gas prices to go up or your milk prices to go up. Now, if what the federal government is doing is affecting prices by affecting supply chain, by affecting shipping, then what the federal government is spending affects our prices because it's what the government is doing with the money that matters. Not the amount of money. It's not the amount of money that the federal government is spending. It's what the government is doing with that money that matters. So, like, if the federal government decides to, I don't know, blow up oil uh, fields in third world countries, and then all of a sudden oil prices jump up, way, way up, and then all of a sudden our gas prices jump way, way up. Well, gee, it's not the amount of money the government spent blowing them up. that matters. It's the fact that the government blew them up. That's what matters. If the government, say, blows up a gas pipeline that we would have benefited from had they not blown it up, then that will, affect our gas prices. So instead of constantly bickering over how much money the government is spending, we need to be actually paying attention to what the government is actually doing with the money that it spends. Is the government doing something that is beneficial to us, or is the government doing something that is harmful to us? I think a lot of what the federal government does today is harmful to us as a people, as a nation. Yummy, little smokies. Let's talk about something else. AI. I'm scared for our future because AI is ruining children's ability to think for themselves. Generations of people are growing up and somehow graduating high school and getting into college without the ability to read or do basic mathematics. People are in college who don't know how many states there are in the United States of America. What? People are getting into college who cannot read. What? We need to do something about AI. We need to do something about the education of our youth. Otherwise, this country is going to go down the drain in a big, 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 bad way. What else to talk about? Robots. I wish I had a robot that would do the things that I can't do. Even if it means remote controlling the robot myself. Because I am in so much pain all the time. There's just so little I can actually do. If I could remote control a robot, if I could get a robotic version of myself that I control, that doesn't have any independent thought of its own, that is not an AI machine that can decide to kill me or something, then I would be able to clean up the house. I'd be able to do all sorts of things. I'd do the dishes. I'd take the trash out. I'd, you know, there's so much I would do if I could. Just getting from this chair to my bed is so immensely difficult and so painful that by the time I get to my bed, I'm desperate to sit down and then lay down and just try to catch my breath and possibly scream in agony for a while. It just hurts. Oh, so very, very much. I just want to help people as much as I can, doing the few things that I actually can do, like making Plarn sleeping mats. I can't sit at a desk because it causes far too much pain, so I'm sitting in this chair, which causes far less pain. I can't provide any kind of work at home services for anybody because I'm in far too much pain all the time. I can't work a 9 to 5 job. So to the people who say, well, just work at home, I can't. After this video, after I've put away my Plarn, I'm probably going to pass out because that's what happens every day. I just sit here and I pass out cold. And Dad will come out here and be like, Aaron! 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 And then I'll be like, what? I wish I lived in the village of Whispersend, where everybody just cares for each other and nobody abuses each other. And everybody just does what they can. And everybody just shares what they want to. And everybody cares. They just care. That's it. I've been trying to get into a care facility so that I can finally get the help I need. And I've been told that I can get on hospice so that I can uh, get help I need. And then eventually die. Wouldn't that be nice to be dead? I would love that. But I'm not allowed to kill myself, no. That's against the law. It's not okay to commit suicide, so I have to stay alive. And also because I promised my mother. She made me promise. So, okay, I'll stay alive. I love my mom, and she made me promise, so I promised. And I'm keeping my promise. I'm staying alive. Ooh, 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 ooh. Staying alive, staying alive, staying alive. Staying alive, staying alive. Ah. But my heart decides to beat too slowly. That's when I'm gonna pass out. I'm feeling almost at the point of losing. I gotta finish. I gotta finish before I pass out again. Okay, I'm gonna put away my Plarn. Oh, here we go. I'm gonna make a Plarn cake. Pay attention. Wrap it on my thumb. Wrap, 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 wrap. Wrap, 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 wrap. Now I've got something that's kind of flattened, just a little bit, maybe. I don't know. Then I wrap it around the flatness. See? I'm wrapping it around like this and turning it as I go. Wrap, turn, wrap, turn, wrap, turn, wrap, turn. Wrap, turn, wrap, turn, wrap, turn. Wrap, turn, wrap, turn, wrap, turn. So on and so on and so on and so on. And I keep going like this until it turns sort of into a ball. Okay? It's almost there. Wrap, turn, wrap, turn, wrap, turn. Wrap, turn, wrap, turn. Okay, it's sort of in a ball now. Then I start wrapping at an angle. Wrap, turn, wrap, turn, wrap. What just happened? Stop it. Okay. Now I'm going to put this bit of Plarn, this tail of mine, under some other bit of Plarn to lock it in place. See? Then I'm going to grab the middle because I like center pull. Now, I can't grab it with my fingers, so I'm going to get my tool, my pick, wherever it is. There it is. See, I stuck it in some cork. Uncork it. And put my pick in the center of my Plarn to pick out that center bit. There we go. Then I'm going to put my Plarn cake in my bag of Plarn cakes. Then I'm going to cork my tool so it doesn't cause harm to other things. And it's corked. Put it in my bottle. My bottle of plastic bits. And I'm done. This is Plarn Dude passing out. Bye bye. 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 Bye bye.